This could be the set of strings that, I just die happy with, this is it. And the rest is up to me. Wow, so we have to rewind to where it all began. This was 2009. I had just won the Queen Elizabeth competition. I was 20 years old, fresh kid off the block. And I was a cheeky kid, I was mischievous. I guess growing up in Australia, brought a lot of sunshine into this very serious, this very institutionalized world of classical music. After winning, I decided to just reach out. I'd been playing Thomastik strings for a while, ever since I had my first full-size violin. So I just wrote a little cheeky email, said, hey, would you mind just, supporting an artist? I just won the Queen Elizabeth. Would that be okay? Right? I started really getting into sound discovery, really exploring sound, trying to figure out all the different nuances. I realized as I grew over the following years, as an artist, as a violinist, so did my taste, right, in sound and instruments. And I realized that strings were sort of like the key to unlocking instruments. Certain instruments were more suitable to a particular set. Other instruments were more suitable to, a different sort of gauge, perhaps. So little facts like that, all from Thomastik, all that I learned in my journey to sort of explore sound and find the best setup. And then a few years into that, I remember visiting the product guys at Thomastik. It was led by Franz Kleiner, and so I started taking notes. I started testing for Franz, and it was also aligned with what I love doing as well, which is really nerding out over strings and just getting into the sound. It really helped me listen to sound in a new way and be aware of all of the different frequencies, sort of EQing the instrument, EQing myself in all the different concert halls around the world. So I started with a dominant set, which then evolved into a slightly adjusted one where the D and the A strings, I chose a lighter gauge. It was actually recommended to me by my teacher. He would always use a light A, and I thought, why not actually further that and use both light A and light D, because the curve of the bridge made these two strings have the most tension, right? And typically the D string, you don't really need that bright of a sound. You need sort of like a more melancholy sound, a warmer sound, and then by doing this, it really opened up the G and the E string, so you could really, play brilliantly or dig in and get that juicy sound. Over the years, though, I realized that the more I was playing it, the halls became bigger and bigger, and I transitioned from dominant strings into the Peter-Infeld, which for me had much more power and were able to carry my musical intentions further. And that was a really interesting time. I actually played on those strings for quite some time, and before I met Franz again and went into the testing room, and then I was like, okay, why don't we actually use prototype strings? So he started giving me these strings that were not on the market, which was like so incredibly exciting for me, because I felt like, wow, these are like pre-released, and people would ask me, what strings are you using? I'd be like, oh, using Thomastik strings, but I can't really tell you what they are because I don't even know what they are. And that happened for a few more years before I got this instrument. And this instrument is a Stradivarius made in 1714. It used to belong to Jascha Heifetz. It's known as the Dolphin. And this instrument, let me tell you about it. It is incredibly difficult to play. It's a high maintenance instrument. We get along now, but at the time, I'd gotten it for about 2 weeks. This was about November 2022. And I was struggling with it a lot. It's the most difficult violin that I've played on in my life. And I was trying to figure out the sound. I was using all the setup. I was, questioning everything, trying different chin rests, I couldn't really switch out the pegs. Usually I do that as well, but So I took this instrument over and made a special trip to this testing room once again. And I said, look, how do I unlock the sound, right? Like it's only got right now, if I dig really deep, if I press really hard, it carries. It's kind of on or off right now. There's no gradient. There's no like sort of different colors that I can access. But I'm sure, it being Heifetz's instrument, I must be doing something wrong. What is it that I'm doing wrong? So Franz looked it over. He gave me some advice about the bridge. And then he also said, you know what? I might have something that could be the key to all this. And he handed me this set of strings. And that was the first time that I encountered this DYNAMO set. I was like, oh, what's this? Why haven't you told me about this before, Franz? And he was saying, I wanted you to, see the finished product. Here is a new set, and explain to me that DYNAMO means dynamic range, right? It's all of the different, it's exactly what I needed, right? From the softest gradients to the most powerful sounds. That's the concept of this string. Many other string sets sort of give you power or they give you color, but this one, he said, it was like the ultimate gradient. And I tried these strings on, and the effect was immediate. It was just like, wow, it's brighter, more powerful, and yet deeper all at the same time. It was very worrying, in fact. I thought, oh no, how long is this gonna last, right? I was like, what if this is only for one day? What if this is like a one-hit wonder? And he's like, here are some extra sets. Go play with it, play your concerts. He said, it's gonna sound even better in 3 days. I was like, really? Okay, sure. I went ahead, played 14 concerts, in fact. And afterwards, I was like, wow, this is really something incredible. And I was able to really, through that, I think really unlock the full potential of this instrument. So for that, I'm really grateful and really happy. I immediately tried it. I was like, okay, there's one more test I have to do. I have to see if, this is a Strat, right? Maybe it's just for this instrument. I often play on modern instruments too. And I thought to myself, okay, I have to see if this works for everything. So I put the set of strings on my modern instrument, and I was surprised. It made it sound better. It made it have more color, more nuances. So I was like, okay, all right, this could be the set of strings that I just die happy with. This is it, and the rest is up to me.